Hey, this is Christy Mattoon from Mindrewire. Today is 4/20/2022. So we're towards the end of April, which is always fun and interesting. I am doing this video for a very specific purpose because a few people have asked me this recently, and I usually just work one-on-one with people lately. Very, very pointed, direct type of work into whatever their very own questions and issues are. Getting a lot of really good response from working that way. And I let it die down for a while. I actually lost my website. Mindrewire was stolen, which was crazy and weird. And I won't go into that whole story, but I decided not to try and get it back, which is why you won't find my website. I am working strictly off of source resource at this point, and people's referrals, which I seem to get a lot of. So that's all cool. And I just wanted to let you know that you can reach me at Christy at, what is my new one? Christy at Proton, that's not it, Mindrewire at protonmail.com. Mindrewire at protonmail.com, right, if you need to reach me. For those of you that look up phone numbers, my phone number has never changed. I have never used a different phone number. My phone number has been the same since the, I want to say, probably the late 1990s. and it's still the same. So you can, text me or reach out to me that way. And plenty of people have done that too. And they're always surprised when I answer the phone. I don't have a secretary. I don't have coworkers. I don't have, I just do what I do. So you can reach me that way also, but I'm not going to give it to you. You have to go find it. I did just get my hair cut, and I know a bunch of you are going to ask that question. After probably about 10 months, I finally went and got my shag done up again. So it's pretty shaggy right now. I've been out working in my garden and using a chainsaw, trying to cut down a tree. So that's all the fun stuff that I've been up to. I'm glad to be on here with you today. Life is just cracking me up. There's so many crazy cool things going on, and then there's so many crazy, awful things going on. And some of the stuff that we're finding out that we as civilization, as humanity, are starting to understand are so horrific that most people don't even want to look at it. You don't want to know, which is fine. And I have people directly tell me that I don't want to know. And I'm that's fine if you don't want to know, but knowledge changes you. Knowledge gives you a new perception. Knowledge gives you a different idea. And so I just encourage you to stay open, right, with your mind. Metanoia is a good word to meditate on, metanoia. And it's the Greek word, or not the Greek word, it is the Hebrew word for repentance that's used in biblical text. Repentance was not the original word. Metanoia was the original word, and it meant to open your mind. It wasn't this, pressed down, oh, you better repent or you're going to hell kind of idea that they fed us. It was an open your mind experience. It was open yourself to possibilities, open your heart, open your understanding, open, right? So meditate on metanoia has been a very powerful thing that I have been doing for the last year or so, since I discovered the true word that was written in the text, and you start to understand some of these things. So we're not going into that today. What I wanted to talk to you about today is the water, and what you can do with water, which I've been doing for years, but I never really thought about it until a video popped up on other channels. You probably won't find information about it on YouTube. So I would direct you to probably brighteon.com. Look for an interview with a guy named Dr. Ardis, A-R-D-I-S, I believe. Brighteon.com, and look for an interview with Dr. Ardis about water and reptiles or snakes. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to get this pulled down. But once you've watched that series of videos, there's 3 of them, watch that series of videos and then come back to this. and metanoia, open your mind, metanoia. So we do know from history and from all the tests that have been run on water that our water is poisoned, right? It's been poisoned for a long time. Many places that, many countries, right, won't allow some of the junk in the water that our country puts in the water. And the big one people automatically goes to is fluoride, because fluoride is a neurotoxin. It is. You can't get around that fact. And so we ingest it in our public water, which is just awesome. And once you realize where the public water comes from, like, you wouldn't want to drink it anyway, honestly, right? Go find spring water. Go find something else. But I want to talk to you about how you can actually manipulate the water, right? We are energy. We know this. There's no disputing that anymore. The energy form in this physical body, right? The physical body is created out of energy. And then our spirit is an energetic form, right? Straight from creator, from source. And once you start understanding that, you understand how your uniqueness, the who you are inside of that source, right? It changes the whole deal. It changes the whole paradigm. So we're talking about, I'm going to talk about water and what you can do, how you can actually energize water. And this is probably stuff you've heard before, but I'm going to come about it a little bit differently. And I want to show you a video clip real quick of a guy named David Wilcock. If you don't know who he is, he's been in this arena for way longer than I have, written many, many books on topics like this. I don't agree with everything he says. I won't deny that. I don't think anybody does. But I don't think anybody agrees with everything I say. So, right, you have to have a spirit of discernment and metanoia, right? So you discern what's truth, you discern what works for you, because it doesn't work the same for everybody, because of perception and level of consciousness, right? It all creates a different balance inside each one of us. And then decide what's right for you and what's not right for you. My point is, this last video I just saw of his, I think he just recently threw this up, had some information in the front end of it that just made me stop. I was like, oh, I love when the scientific community comes out with something and puts their finger on it and they go, we did an experiment with this and here's what happened. And then knowing that your energy and that you have mirror neurons, that you can just even think through this to grasp the energy of it, you can use it to alter yourself. Did you know that? It's amazing, right? Greg Braden talks about this with an experience. I don't think he had the experience, but it was a video that came through some of his stuff, where a lady was healed on a table of a tumor in her bladder by men standing there chanting over her, right? And it's on video, you can watch it. And his point was, watch it and put yourself on the table. Your mirror neurons will kick in. That's how connected we all are. So my point is the same thing, right? Let your mirror neurons activate, metanoia, open your mind, and let the energy do its job. That's the key to it. Let the energy do its job. And many times we stop this because of our own disbelief or negative thoughts or whatever. But we're not going to let that happen today. You're going to open your mind and we're going to let this do its job. Before I go there and before I forget, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about nicotine receptors on your brainstem. What? This is a whole different topic. When you go watch the water video that I was just talking about on brighteon.com, when you go watch that, there's a place in there, probably a few times, that this doctor mentions nicotine receptors on your brainstem. I have never heard of this before, right? So I'm an avid non-smoker. I have asthma. I've had asthma for years. Have I tried smoking? Of course I did. When I was in my younger years, decided really fast that was stupid and not something I would persist in. I've smoked a few different things. I won't lie about it. Some things definitely more fun than others. But smoking is not my bag because my lungs are already damaged, right? From asthma, from birth, right? Whatever the birth trauma was. What I found out about these nicotine receptors in your brainstem, think about this, like the location by itself makes you go, what? And if you're not a smoker, if you don't eat tobacco or a similarly molecularly structured atom, right, that's nicotine-ish, these receptors have to be empty. That's the conclusion I came to. My receptors have to be empty. I don't chew, I don't smoke, I don't do anything that I know of. And I tried to look up vegetable matter, like what things have molecular structured information in them that would be similar to nicotine, right? I did find something, but it's not something I ever ingested. So I'm going to share that with you. Now, the regulation of these nicotine receptors on your brainstem do many things, one of which I was particularly interested in, and Dr. Artist mentioned it in his video in relation to all of the things that have been going on with C19. The breathing issue, right? The breathing issue gets explained really well in that video. If you don't have adequate information in your brain stem from the nicotine receptors, your diaphragm, probably isn't working very well. So what he basically said was these nicotine receptors, when they're full, when they have the information in them, they actually help control your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is the functional key to your lungs working well. Right? If the lung tissue inside itself isn't damaged, which I have to assume that mine is after years of asthma and pneumonia and bronchitis and all the things they told me I had that I believed, yes, then my diaphragm probably isn't functioning well. And I've done a ton of work on my diaphragm, loosening it from the points where it connects under your ribs and like all this stuff. And I get a difference when I do that, but the second my body tightens back up. So there's a direct correlation between diaphragm frozen, anxiety, depression, some of these kind of things. And we work on anxiety and depression from the angle of what caused it, what were the feelings surrounding it, right? We work at it from that angle. And then sometimes you'll actually find somebody that says, loosen up your diaphragm, right? Direct connection back up into the brainstem, into the area of the brain that holds all this emotional information, and you get some kind of release if the diaphragm is working right and you're getting adequate oxygenation into your cells, right? I hope all that made sense. So my life, I have had a frozen diaphragm my whole life. That's what I've come to. My birth was traumatic. It was not easy. My mother did not want me. She made that very clear later in my life, mine and my little brothers. Not only she didn't want me, she didn't like me, right? I was the hated one in the family, is what siblings have told me, right? Specifically my oldest sibling. And in knowing that, and in knowing the trauma from my birth, which some of it wasn't true, some of the things I was told, she lied to me about. I found that out later. Some of the stuff was true, right? I was huge. I was not a small baby. I was over 12 pounds. I did break her tailbone, right? I did not end up in an iron lung. My dad was like, what? Like, I've never heard this before. Where did you get this from? I'm like, it's a story she always told me, but he said it's not true. And I'm like, but there was some kind of weird thing going on at my birth. My guess is the information that was in her system hit my system and I froze, right? Fight, flight, and freeze, froze. My diaphragm has never done its job functionally, right? So as it's supposed to rise and fall and pull oxygen into my lungs, it's frozen and I'm breathing from up here, always up here. And what they told me was the lower lobes of my lungs are damaged, and so I can't effectively pull oxygen past the bronchial tubes and into those lower areas of my lungs. That's what I've been told. So the other day I'm digging in the dirt gets in the air, I breathe in the dirt, I start having an asthma issue, long lifetime history of it. So I'm like, I gotta get my inhaler. I walked in the house. Now I have ordered this probably 2 weeks ago and it came 2 days ago, 3 days ago now. And I want to show you, can you see what it is? clip moving so you can focus in on it. I can't even focus in on it. It's called Lobelia, right? It's an extract. This is from HerbEra. I got it offline. It's alcohol free. It is not an oil, right? So it's not like one of these kind of things from Datura or Young Living or whoever else you get oils from. That the spelling is Lobelia. After a lot of research online, what I read was Lobelia plant, it is an herb, most similarly mimics in structure nicotine. So they use this for people who are trying to quit smoking. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. What it does do is fill your nicotine receptors, right? So in my spirit, because those of you who know me know I did this, I asked, is this an effective form of nicotine that my cells will receive and activate my bodily response to do what it's supposed to do, right? Whatever I said, it was something to that effect. And I hear yes. And I felt amazing just thinking about it. I felt amazing. So one of the other things you probably know about me, if you've watched too much of my work, is that I figure if the vibration is out there, I can just pull it into me, right? So the second I looked at this and I started feeling it and trying to play with it, guess what happened? My breathing got better. That's what I did. I was like, what? So I ordered a couple bottles of it. I'm about to order a couple more. My breathing got better. And so the other day I'm out digging, yesterday I'm out digging, and this had showed up. And so now I have it physically in front of me and I'm like struggling a little bit. So I go grab it and I open it. You're supposed to take half a dropper full or 0.7 milliliters, I think is what it says. Yeah, so you know, right? It's brown, it looks tobacco-ish, right? It looks like somebody spit from a chew. And so I took a dropper full of it and almost instantly, and I'm not joking about this, I sat there baffled. My breathing loosened up, just as if I had taken an inhaler. I am not saying this will work for everybody who has asthma or breathing issues. I don't know. What I do know is this feels a ton different. It feels a ton different. And what else I felt was a release in my amygdala, right? In the limbic system of my brain, I felt some kind of crazy opening, right? This is the only difference. It's the only thing that could have done it. Physically having it on board in my body. Now I'm taking the dosage every day. I'm just like going for it. The difference has been astounding. The difference has been astounding. So understand that first of all. If you have depression or anxiety, I would be testing this idea. If it loosens up your diaphragm, if it unfreezes your diaphragm because your receptors are in your brainstem are full, and that's what controls diaphragm, it would be worth trying. I'm just saying, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, but over some of the junk that they give you, which I have been on, Depakote I was on for years, horrifying medication. I would try this before, right? I would try this. I'm saying I would try this. I'm giving you an idea. You can look at it if you want to. Now, moving on. So opening your diaphragm is going to cause a different reaction in your system. That's going to be huge by itself, getting that open and moving. Now back to the water thing. Okay, let me play this clip for you from David Wilcock. So we're going to listen to this. He's talking about how they found one of the videos he found and information in a study that he found, and the doctors who did the study were from Germany, about changing your DNA. I want you to watch this. If I can find it, here we go. Watch this for just a few minutes with me.
The idea that DNA itself can be transformed at the molecular level. Well, I found in the year 2000 this work that came out by two German researchers, Fossar and Bludorf, talking about a scientist in Russia named Dr. Peter Garyaev, where he had shined laser light through salamander eggs laid by a salamander, and then took that salamander laser light and shined it into a frog egg, and the frog egg metamorphosed into a salamander, and it grew up to be an adult salamander, and it could breed with other adult salamanders. And in essence, the frog's genetic material was completely transformed into a salamander. There was no remnant of it having come from a frog. That's a much more exciting way to view biology than anything that we normally see in the Western world today. And this is also why I'm not buying the massive die-off argument either, frankly, because there are technologies that I'm aware of, that I've written about in my books. If you build the pyramids, you get some of these same effects. There's absolutely stunning healings. Let's talk about that. Stunning healings from pyramid power. After the fall of the Russian Soviet Union in 1991, it balkanized into a series of republics, but what happened was that the college professors were still getting their Soviet Union pay for being members of the military-industrial complex and doing scientific research. But now there was nothing for them to research, and so they still got, under communism, their guaranteed money. So they were able to fund, thanks to Dr. Alexander Golod predominantly, they were able to fund a series of pyramids. Now these pyramids, from their research, had energetic effects on matter, and energetic effects on biological life. And we're talking very, very stunning energetic effects. Okay, so the pyramid power is nothing at all to laugh at. Where can I go here? Let's see. That one, how about, oh, that's a really close up. I don't want to do that yet. That's very intimate, folks. Okay, number 2. Let's go back to number 2. So, okay, so the law of one is talking about these principles that apply to many different categories. And one of the categories that it applies to, again, the law of free will, the concept that the creator has designed this universe as a feedback mechanism. And as you go through your life, you start experiencing this non-local causation between things that you're thinking and things that happen to you in response. So we are here to experience spiritual growth, and there are beings here who are guiding us through that, and they have never left. It's an illusion to think that we are alone in the universe. It's really, really silly when you can even see what they were doing right before. And so these beings were here, and they built, probably with 3D printing, gigantic pyramids. And so when you go to Russia and you find these pyramids out in the field that Dr. Alexander Golod has built, they actually had to build a steep angle pyramid more like this angle, as opposed to the Great Pyramid, which is what it's so crazy, more like that.
This pyramid is neither a palace nor a tomb. Unlike its better-known sisters in Egypt and Mexico, it's only 9 years old. The 44-meter-high fiberglass construction is built without a single piece of metal. But it's not the design that attracts dozens here every day.
I came here to get charged with the energy of the pyramid, to improve my health with this energy.
This pyramid is the tallest of 2 dozen, designed and built by Russian inventor Alexander Golod. He's been putting up such constructions across Russia and the world for over 20 years.
Due to various processes in the universe, the space we inhabit is curved like a mirror. The pyramid abolishes these curves, and everything that happens within the space changes in a harmonic way.
Alexander says his theories have a sound scientific basis, with experiments backing them up. For instance, 4 pyramids were built over an oil field in the Russian Republic of Bashkiria. And tests showed the chemical qualities of the fuel were improved because its thickness fell by a quarter.
6,000 prisoners in a penitentiary facility were given salt that was kept for several weeks in a pyramid. After 11 months, the mortality rate fell 3.5 times in this prison. The guards say that the prisoners became much more humane.
According to the inventor, the healing effect could apply if you live less than 1,000 kilometers from the pyramid.
Сейчас может оно продуется. Если бы вот это не упало, заснеженная пирамида. Видит. Вот достаем из ящика бутылку воды. Хорошо видно, что это чистая вода. Вот она переливается, пузырьки. Встряхиваем. И хорошо видно, как в бутылке идет медленная кристаллизация.
So these were 144 feet tall, in some cases, made out of PVC plastic pipes and then fiberglass sheets on the outside. And they did not use metal. This is a very, very important thing. If you put metal in the pyramid, it doesn't work anymore. The metal somehow absorbs this effect that's caused, but very strange things started to happen. For example, they had cancer where they would inject mice with carcinogens, and the control group, 70% would die. And even in the highest degree of toxicity, only 30% would die if the mouse itself is put in the pyramid. 70% to 30%. Okay, so there was a very amazing experiment that Garyaev later did, where he actually shined a laser beam through the spleen and pancreas of a deceased rat. That they kept the spleen and pancreas on life support, and then they took that pancreatic laser light and shined it into the body of a rat who had been given diabetes with a toxin called alloxan, which destroys its pancreas. Now, when your pancreas is destroyed, you develop diabetes, your blood sugar skyrockets, and that's how you can tell when somebody's about to die, is that their blood sugar just goes through the roof, and this ultimately chokes out the oxygen, and you die of asphyxiation, really. So in this experiment, Garyaev injected the mice with the toxin that's going to kill them from diabetes, and he waited the amount of time until they were within 24 hours of dying based on their blood sugar level. So he waits till the blood sugar level skyrocketed. It took about 7 days. Then he surgically injects the fiber optic cable. He cuts a little tiny hole, and he shines that pancreas light from another rat's pancreas into the area of the body where the pancreas would be. Because when you develop diabetes, your pancreas is destroyed. That's why your blood sugar goes up, your pancreas is needed to fight the blood sugar levels and keep the blood sugar back down. The rat didn't even have a pancreas. He autopsied other rats from the same period of time, and their pancreas had dissolved inside the body. It literally had dissolved, okay? Now, if he shines the pancreas light into the area where the pancreas was, but it no longer exists, with 24 hours to live, literally within the last day of life, these rats spontaneously restored their health. Okay, this is unbelievable that this actually happened, but it did. And it was proven on many, many different levels. So here's another example. They took a sugar solution, a glucose solution, and they stored it inside the pyramid. They didn't even, in this case, bring the subject into the pyramid. They just took a solution of glucose sugar water, stored it inside the pyramid, and then began giving it to babies who had been born in the obstetrics and gynecology unit prematurely. The babies are sure to die. They've been written off. There's nothing you can do for them. They're preemies. They're goners. They're done. It's very sad. Everybody's crying. hey, do you want to, your baby's going to die anyway. What do you say? I'm so sorry. And everybody's crying. It's just horrible, right? Will you let us give your baby this water that we put in the pyramid? Yeah, okay. And every single time they gave a baby pyramid water that was premature and was sure to die, it lived. Every single baby lived that they gave this to. Now, that's unbelievable. Then they said, well, is it the glucose? What happens if we take out the glucose? And so they did that, and they did the experiment with water, just nothing but actual water that had been stored in the pyramid, and the baby still got better with nothing but water. So they found out that they could get rid of cancer, diabetes, basically any type of ailments that people have, any type of issues, health-related complications. It seems to be intelligent, and it seems to fix it on its own.
Thank you, David. Now we're going to close this share. And that was long. I apologize. I let it run because I didn't realize how long it was. So bear with me as I go back through this. The water thing is key, right? We know that, and I think it was Russians who had done experimentation on water holding information for usage in computer chips, right? It may have been Germany. But whoever it was, what they found out was a single drop of water held so much information that, it was mind-boggling. The information would go in. The problem was they didn't know where it went. They could call the information back, but they didn't know where it was going, right? So through the water, there's some kind of space through water that takes you somewhere else when you realize it. So what David was just now talking about, let's first start with the rat experiment where he's shown the laser through the pancreas. So we'll use the pancreas as an idea. And then from the good pancreas to the rat who had no pancreas, and they put the laser light into that area and then shown it again, and the mouse miraculously healed. What is that? It's a transference of information from the field, right? From a healed pancreas to a non-existent pancreas, as it was, to create or to recreate a pancreas in that space, right? If you think about this is how healing works, right? Energetic healing, right? If you're an energy healer or if you work in any arena in this field, it's the transference of energy. Right? It's the energy movement. It's how even what they talked about biblically with Christ healing, right? It was an energy that moved. He even said that during one of his healings, my energy moved. Somebody took my energy, right? Because this woman snuck underneath the crowd and touched his robe, and the transference of energy happened because of her belief, right? So it's interesting when you start kind of thinking through this. So if they can take a laser and shine it through an organ, a perfect organ, right? So you can think about this perfect organ, and then move it into a space that is a diseased organ, right? We'll use the word diseased, and create health in that space. How do you do that? If you know your energy and you know you're powerful, right? This is only for people who get it. Right? You have eyes to hear, and ears to see, right? It all works the same way. You have the ability and the capacity to get this. Listen to me carefully. Can you take that, what he called the fiber optics, right, is what they stuck into the rat. Can you find the frequency? This is the good question. Can you tap into the spectrum light of that fiber optic and bring it into your own system and cause a healing? What do you think? Comment below. What do you think? Can you do that? Have you ever tried it? Right? I play with this stuff all the time. My body has turned into the most amazing petri dish of experiments. I can't even tell you. It's absolutely nuts. But it keeps getting better and better and better, so I'm not going to argue, right? So the spectrum light of that fiber optic. So let's say I want to heal my thyroid, right? Let's say and I haven't done thyroid blood tests in forever, so I don't even know if there's anything going on in my thyroid. Except that I know it was being eaten by my body. I was classified Hashimoto's, so I know some of it probably disappeared, like he was talking about the rats and pancreas, because that's what they say happens. Your body just starts eating the tissue, right? That's that is the disease process that I had going on. So can I tap into the frequency of a healed pancreas? And I can use the visualization of the fiber optics, and put inside myself a healed thyroid. Right? Now there's stories, ancient stories, and I mean even more into our own time, where they say the angels can bring you new organs. I never made that work. The angels never brought me new organs. They brought me many things, but one of them was not a new organ. So, and I'm just like, this is how they did it, right? The idea of a fiber optic beam, light beam, with the information writing on it of a whole organ, of a healthy organ. Play with this, right? If you are an energy person and you understand what I'm talking about, and some of you will and some of you won't, some of you think I'm a total nut job, and I hear it all the time, and it's totally fine. I want you to play with this. If it's in you, see what you can do with it, right? You have to get focused. I will give you keys to it. You have to be focused. You have to know what you're looking for. I want, let's say if it's my thyroid, I want the energy, I want that fiber optic that creates, right, from one healthy thyroid to another. So I don't go looking for a person on this planet with a healthy thyroid. My guess is there isn't one, because of all the poisoning in the air, the land, and the water. There's poisoning. They have poisoned every jurisdiction, right? They have poisoned on multiple levels every jurisdiction. What you are looking for is probably a sentient being, probably a benevolent being, right, who has an understanding of how this physical 3D body works. And from creation, from perfected creation to my body, I want that fiber optic light of a perfected thyroid. Even just saying it makes me go, whew, I can feel the energy rise. All right, that's what you're looking for. Meditate, go into it, open your mind. I use the word metanoia. I usually say it 3 times and get myself to open, and then I do the work, right? I sit there and I focus. I go through different threads of energy looking for that specific optic fiber. It will shoot that information to me. Yeah? Comment below, right? Play with this. That's all I'm saying is play with it. Okay, next subject, the water. I want to introduce you to a guy named Raymond Grace, and I'm going to show you what he looks like. You can find his website is Raymond, not Raymond, no D, RAYMON, Grace.com. You can find him on the web very easily. And then look at his products, go through his products, and he has a video that's called Energizing Water. I'm going to show you a little clip of it so you know what you're looking for, because I have it. I bought it years ago. I've had it on my computer. I turn it on and I put a list on my computer and I just let it run, because he's doing an energetic clearing that's very powerful and proven. So he tells a lot of his own stories. And years ago, I think he was in France. I want to say it was France, and somebody had a water well that had arsenic poisoning. So it was a natural well that was naturally poisoned with arsenic. And they couldn't figure out how to clean the well, and they needed that source of water. So they called Raymond out, and he went out and did his work. He's a dowser. I will show you that in a second. Over the water well. Removing the arsenic very effectively. And 20 years later, when they had been testing the water all along, not only did it change almost instantly from a level of arsenic, it kept changing over time to where there was no arsenic poisoning. and then it remained clean water. All right, you have to have an understanding of dowsing. First of all, I'm going to show you the chart that I think is the chart he uses. Dowsing chart by Walt Woods, modified by Raymond Grace. So this is the one you would get off his website. Dowsing is a term for it, and they used to use the sticks, right, to find water wells. So they would tap into the energy of the water that way. People call this a pendulum, right? So the pendulum swings. The pendulum is swinging hard right now in our existence. But when you put these two together, it actually is a very powerful form of energy work. Some people think it's crazy. Some people think it's stupid. Some people get it because they do it and they're like, oh, years ago, I used to use this. I would teach people how to do this in order to teach them how to hear, because it was like a step. If they could get a yes or no read and had some truth to back it up, like an event would happen, it backed up the read that they got, right? The yes or no. You could all of a sudden realize you could start to hear. So it was a step into learning how to hear. Very effective step. The way Raymond uses it is in degrees and percentages, right? There's numbers all around this dowsing chart, and he'll ask for a percentage from 0 to 100. What percentage of this water, we're going to use this water, is poisoned? And he'll get a percentage. I don't question it. I don't go run out and test the water. I don't have the money to do that. Whatever the answer is I get is the answer I work with, right? I don't question, I don't second guess. Those are two huge components of the work I do. When you start questioning and second guessing, your belief system is out of alignment, then you have to do work on that. And then you have to figure out, right? You think you have to figure out why about a lot of this stuff, and you truly don't. The answer you get is the answer you work with. All right, so that's the first thing. So he would ask what percentage of the water is poison, and then can I alter it, right? I get a yes or a no based on the question. I get a percentage based on this chart, 0 to 100, what percentage? And then I let the energy do its work. I command the energy to release all the negative information from the water, and I ask the spirit of natural water to come back to the water. I do this over my water all the time. I've gotten to where I don't need to use the pendulum. I can just put my hands around it, say it, and stay there until I feel the energy stop pulsing. Those of you who understand energy know what I'm talking about. Now, if you are doing that and you're energizing your water and then you drink it, you're going to get a healing effect in your body of some sort, right? It can't not happen. The energy will do its job because it's just energy. It doesn't have a preference. It doesn't have a belief system. It just does what it does because it is what it is. Yes? Okay. So now with the idea of pyramid water, right? So we're going to move from the fiber optic idea. You're getting a few different really powerful ideas here. So I hope you're recognizing that first of all. And I hope you do something with it. Play with these ideas. With the idea of pyramid water, we know this works because they did it. That's not the question. Does it work? Does it not work? That's not the question. The question is, can you do it? That's the question. The fiber optic idea. It's not a question of does it work or not. We know it works because they did it, right? I always talk about Dr. William Bankston, and his healing of mice with his hands, even though he doesn't believe in any of this stuff. We know it works because he did it. He has years of research that nobody wants to look at because he could heal cancer with his hands. And then he could teach the rats how to do it. The healed rats automatically healed the rats that weren't healed. And so there's something to this, right? If the rat was healed and it had the energy of the healing, it could transfer it to a rat who still had cancer. Isn't that kind of the fiber optic idea? Think about this for a second. This is powerful stuff. All right, so Raymond Grace would sit there dowsing and take the arsenic out of the water. And I'm going to show you him first because I want you to see this. And then we will come back and I will show you what I'm thinking with this. Okay, here's Raymond Grace. And I'm just going to play the first part of this with you so you can kind of get a feel for what he does.
Here is clear the water. So the first thing we always ask is, are there any negative entities within the water? And I'm getting a yes on this. So what we want to do is ask the spirit guide to take those negative entities out of the water, take them over to the other side, give them appropriate treatment, and send them on to where they're going. Now, what I actually did right here was did a depossession on the water that you have there. Okay? This is exactly how we do depossessions on schools, homes, and people. It's no mysterious thing. It's just simply making a request from help from the spirit world. We ask the spirit guide.
Okay. Let me stop that share. I love listening to him because I can feel it every time he does that. I've had this on my computer for probably over 12 years. And I just turn it on and play it. And I don't do it for like, I mean, I do it for this also. I'll put my water on it. But for every cell in my body, right? The depossession idea, right? And the whole, remember how the Catholics, you know, had all this huge depossession nonsense going on, and then all the movies that were made about it. And he's saying this is how easy it is to depossess anything, right? You command the entities out, and then you command the spirit, in this case of pure water, to come back in. This is no different than what the Christ figure in the New Testament of the Holy Bible was doing. It's no different. It's exactly the same idea. Command it out, command it in, right? So there's no huge, big, gigantic drama, which is what obviously the Vatican wants us to. All right, so there's that. You can go find him. You can look up dowsing. You can understand it better. He puts all of his ideas into a little PDF. You can get it's like 15 or 25 bucks or something. It's super cheap. You can download it, print it out yourself. It's not even that long, but it's full of amazing words, right? The way he puts things together and puts ideas together, I think it would be very beneficial and very powerful for you to understand that and have that. Back to the water. Go back to the idea of what David Wilcock was saying with pyramid water. They stuck the water in the pyramid and let the energy do its job. The pyramid energized the water, right? So they tried glucose water first, and that's what they were giving these babies, and these babies were healing. And then they said, is it the glucose or is it something from the energy of the shape of the pyramid? And then they took the glucose out, they took the sugar out, and just gave them energized water from the pyramid. There's something about the energy of the pyramid. And if you're an energy person, you know this. The question is, how do you tap into it, right? How do you tap into that energy? What I have tended to do is pretty much just to go into my meditation and metanoia. I open my mind, I open my system, and I put myself in the pyramid and I feel the energy. You can do this. This isn't hard to do, right? Call it astral traveling, call it whatever you want to call it, right? You're moving your spirit self through space and time into a pyramid, or you could just pull the pyramid to you and then feel the energy of the pyramid. Now, if I have my water inside that energy, I'm energizing it too. You could do the Raymond Grace thing and command the negative entities out of the water. He was dowsing. You saw him there with that little rod thing and his hands going back and forth all over the place. Know that there's a heavy bullet on the end of his dowsing rod. And that bullet starts moving, and it will move your arm. It'll move your hand because it's a heavy bullet, right? It's a real bullet. It's a loaded bullet. So know that's what was going on there. But my thought is, how do I energize this with pyramid energy? Right? I've never actually been in a pyramid, just energetically, but it's still the same, right? It's got to still be the same. If I was doing this dowsing, I would have my water and I would ask, what is the energy of this water? If 100% is perfect and 0 is not so good, and I'm going to show you this. Well, you might see it, you might not see it. So I'm asking, what is the percentage of of goodness basically in this water. And what I got before was 50%. What I'm getting right now is 50%. So from the word yes at the top of this, if I was asking yes, no questions, from the word yes, 100 is right here. And this is registering at 50%. And then I would ask, just because I'm curious, is any of this water percentage from 0 to 100 pyramid activated? And what it just now did was swing from yes to no. So now I'm swinging on the plane that says no. All right, so this is not pyramid water. So I'm going to ask, can I bring the energy of the pyramid into this bottle of water? And actually, I'm going to do it for every bottle of water that's in my house because I have a lot of water downstairs. Can I bring the energy of pyramid energy into my water? I want to create pyramid water that is 100% charged by pyramid energy. And I'm getting a yes, and then I say, let the energy do its job. And Raymond never says anything like that. He just lets it start swinging. If it's going clockwise, it's positive. If it's going counterclockwise, it's taking something out. So what we're doing here is just pressing in all of the energy of the pyramid energy. Now I'm receiving this into my cells also. I encourage you to do the same. Metanoia, metanoia, metanoia. Open your mind. Can you feel this? Can you feel this energy? Let's set this back down. Of what I'm calling the pyramid energy to energize this water. But you also have water in every cell of your body. Everything is made up of some degree of water. Information flows through water. That's what the Russian experiment showed us, was how much energy or how much information they could pack into a drop of water, and it never seemed to fill up, right? So the energy and the information that you can receive through water, if the information is negative because you're drinking negatively charged water that's had, you know, it's come through the sewer system, right? So everything that goes along with that, we want to motivate that energy to be pyramid energy, which is not hard to do. It's not hard to do at all. So I just sit here and let the energy do its job. And we're altering the 50% that was not in a good space, and then we're altering the 50% or the 100% to become energy of the pyramid. So we're activating pyramid water. Now that's the words I'm going to start using. I am going to start using the words pyramid water, activate this into, or energize this into pyramid water. And we know that that energy, because this experiment showed it, affected biology and it affected matter. It affected matter because matter is made up of water in a very similar way that biology is made of water. So there's water to all of this. Water is the transmitter of the energy of the universe, right? So it transmits to us in this 3D realm through water. So now if you're a feeling person, you can probably feel the energy getting less. I can feel the energy slowing down, right? So I'm feeling in my system what you're seeing the dowsing instrument do, right? And so now it's winding down. And then it comes to a stop. And then I ask, is this, or what I'll ask, what is the percentage of pyramid energy in this water? And now it's 100%, right? So people will ask, well, why is that not a no, since it's on that same line? Because of the question I asked. My intention matters. So the question I asked was, what is the percentage of pyramid energy in this water? And it's moving straight towards 100%. If you look at the other side of the diagram, it says no. That's not, I didn't ask a yes, no question. I asked what is the percentage, so it's giving me 100%. If I ask a yes, no question, which even before I said it, it started doing, it started showing the answer. The yes, no question would be, is this water fully energized energized to pyramid water? And I'm getting a yes. Right? Just by feeling this water, it sends every cell in my body into motion. So interesting. I encourage you to play with this. If you are not a dowser, if you don't believe in dowsing, I'd encourage you to metanoia. Open your mind, right? He does teach dowsing on his website. I would encourage you to do that. That's actually where I learned to douse years and years and years ago. And I've taught many people to douse. I've sent many people to his website. Go do his thing, because he will give you all the ins and outs to get you set up. Once you understand it, you will start hearing. Somehow getting the information this way activates a sense of hearing. It just does. I don't know what to tell you, except that it's probably the same vibrational, right, frequency information. And then drink the water. And here's an interesting experiment for you. Get two and taste the difference. Taste the difference. Don't energize one, set it aside somewhere out of your container, and then energize one, and do it quickly, because the energy will pass from one to the other, just like the healing of the mice, right? So an energized bottle can energize other bottles. Did you know an energized person can energize other people? You know that. I'm just saying, call me crazy, call me whatever you want to call me. Just call me in for dinner, because I would come. It is what it is, right? Energy does its work 100% of the time. It will not fail you. It can't, because that's not what it does, right? People, it's hard to wrap your head around it. Does it work? Does it not work? It's your belief system that doesn't work. It's your belief system that doesn't work. How do I change my belief system? Drink energized water. And then focus on it. Quit focusing on, oh, my belief system. I can't do this. This doesn't work. This didn't work for me. All right, move on, right? If this video isn't for you, move on. That's all I can say. I've seen it change too many other people's lives. And the energy does what it does, because that's what it is. I don't know how else to say it. It can't do anything else, because it is what it is, right? In all the different spectrums, even a negative energy field will do its job, because that's what it is. Yeah? It's the world we live in, is a world of polarity, a world of contrast. Can you get beyond the contrast? Because I think that's the game, is to get out of the contrast. If you're no longer in the contrast, even if you're in this world, you will start to alter the contrast of this world. Yeah? All right. This video was way too long. I apologize. I'll try and cut some of it down if I can. My name is Christy Mattoon. I am Mindrewire. I did lose my .com, so whatever. I am changing a lot of the structure. I only work if you contact me. I don't have a calendar where you can plug yourself into my calendar. I do not do this the way that normal people in this day and age tell you you have to do it. And if you want a session, let me know. If you want to learn how to do some of this stuff, let me know. It is what I teach. I typically only work with private clients, and I charge an hourly rate. Right now it's $100 an hour. I try to make it affordable, because I know that this world is pretty rough right now, but I do have to pay my bills also, right? It is what it is, so that's what I'm doing. And you can reach me at mindrewire@protonmail.com, mindrewire@protonmail.com, or you can find my phone number. It's not hard to find. I've never changed it. It's always been out there, and I'm just saying. And I will only call people back who leave a message. I won't call, I don't always answer the phone. Sometimes I'll get a deep message to just answer it. If it goes to message, leave one, because I won't call you back. I won't call a random number back otherwise. All right, so I want to bless you with your blessed water, right? Turn this back on and just go back through what we just now did with your bottle of water, right? While I was sitting there letting it do its thing. Energize your water, then drink it. See how you feel. See what it does for your day, right? The higher level of energy in your system relates to your neuropeptides in the physical, right? We're trying to move beyond the physical into more of an energetic state without ascending, right? While I'm here, I still want to be in a higher chemical state, right? Which is the neuropeptides, the higher energy state from the spirit side, right? And there's a difference when you cross that barrier. And it's maintaining that difference. It's maintaining that higher state in your spiritual self, in your spirit self, right? Spiritual is the activity. Spirit is you, right? You are that. You are that. All right. God bless you. Thank you for being here. This was fun.